I felt the need to come and say a few things that have been dwelling in my mind for a while now. You know, quite simply, we have a world that is broken, and it is falling apart rapidly, and the effects of it are, you can't put them into words. We have a bunch of people who are trying to create a new generation, right? But here's the thing. They're preparing these kids, these people, for a future that doesn't exist. It just... What's the point? I mean, I could go on for hours about that, but considering I just wanted to touch on the topic, I'm gonna move on, but it really is aggravating. It really, truly, it is. And, the thing is, for all the problems we have in our world right now, whether it's, I would say, I know it doesn't apply to everything, but a lot of these problems, especially in like the world of all these people that seem to think every problem in the world was caused by Donald J. Trump, it's delusional. They're brainwashed. It's caused by a system that teaches it's illogical, and you can tell who does their research and who doesn't very easily. It's not that hard. You just have to listen to them speak for a while, and eventually you're gonna see a few things that don't match up, and you're gonna put the pieces together and figure out that the only place they're getting their information from is CNN and their weird Aunt Karen that never stops talking at Thanksgiving dinner and seemingly never shuts her big fat face. But that's besides the point. People love to find problems. Some are real, some are not. In fact, a lot are real, as I've been talking about. And they'll identify the problem. But then when it comes to deciding who to blame, they pick the wrong person, and they do it without making their own, or doing their own research, or coming to their own conclusions. They just eat up whatever anyone else is willing to tell them. And it's really sad, because the most dangerous thing you have to some of these bigwigs and these New World Order lizard creatures is doing your own research. That's what they don't want you to do. But then some of these people don't do their own research. They listen to CNN at night when they get home from their HR jobs, and they just, whatever they tell them, they take their big spoon and they gulp it down, and they never look back. Except if it's to attack a bunch of people who are uninvolved, or make a bunch of wild and ungrounded statements about a certain person or a group of people, or just blame one side of the story, and instead of accepting the fact that it's a little more nuanced than that. It pisses me off, genuinely, and I know a bunch of other people that are irritated by it too. I mean, I could go on about this, but I mean, you look at some of this stuff coming out in recent days, and really, I guess this has been going on for a while now, about stuff like, whether it's the files, whether it's anything. And it's just, Trump derangement syndrome is a major thing. Now, I'm not saying that the man has never made a mistake, but it's not even like he is one of the best presidents we've had so far. Now, in recent times, maybe he hasn't exactly, followed through on some of the things he said, or maybe it's a bit different. But overall, people are coming at him for stuff he has never even said or done, or they're taking a problem and they're just, instead of reading the fine print, they just look at the top and they see the word problem, and then they see Trump, and then, or they see, and then they just roll with it, and they start it's like they fill it in the blanks with whatever they want. A lot of it is just not factual. I mean, you take any story, news headline coming from the left these days, and I mean, let's just think about this for a while. You take anything like that, and they just, you listen to some of these stories, and you have to ask, who's doing the research for this, and who actually thought that people weren't going to do actual research and fill in the actual blanks? Some people think that we live in a world where they're, no matter what, their thoughts and their opinions reign supreme. And I mean, now, I just felt the need to talk about that a little bit, but I'll move on, because I'll just, if I let myself ramble on, that's not going to be very good upload, I don't think. But here's something I've been thinking about a lot. Now, I interact with a fair amount of people on a daily basis, as most of us do, and not all my interactions are all that great. In fact, most of them are, I make the most out of them, but obviously most of them are not anything spectacular, and they don't have to be. Basically any interaction, it's just the value is inherent. But some people think that you'll be talking to someone. Now, I hate venting. It doesn't really accomplish anything. Everyone does it sometimes, including me. I'm not an exception or anything. And I tend to ramble on and on. But going to another person, just like let me define this. Going to another person and sitting down and just telling them their whole life story, that doesn't really accomplish anything. In the sense that, yeah, it might let stuff out, but you're not really gaining anything. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, I'm doing right now, I'm getting mad at people, I'm expressing my opinions, and I am letting off some steam, but on a personal scale, like when you do it with people, now, like I said, everyone does it sometimes, but I just don't see it, the point in it. But sometimes, what can be valuable is asking other people's opinions, or, you tell them about your day and all the problems you had, and you hope to get advice, but some people seem to think that a fix-all to any problem you have and encounter in life is just ignore it. It never happened, dismiss it. You had a bad day at work or school, or fill in the blanks here, and it's just, it was fun. Come on, it was fun. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. What? It doesn't fix anything. Denying the existence of a problem, or it's just, using it to go as an opportunity to give someone a positivity lecture is just not a good idea. Now, I understand the value sometimes of some problems aren't as big a deal as you think they are. That's obvious. I probably didn't have to say that, but I did. But some problems aren't as big a deal as you think they are when you first encounter them, and you start going over them, and you think, oh my goodness, Lord help us, the world is ending. But then by the next day, you didn't even know what happened. But there are often larger problems at hand, but you're focusing on this tiny little thing that's not going to affect the course of your life, really, at all. But it's still If you determine that something is an actual problem, you gotta go with it, and you gotta. Dismissing it is not a solution. A solution would be looking at the list and you say, I could do A, I could do B, I could do C, I could do D. Which of these is gonna lend me what results, and which of these should I pick? Or even just acknowledging that something is a problem is the first step, but dismissing it or feeling guilty about having these problems or feeling upset is just I don't I've had so many experiences like this, just not even just recently, though it has happened a lot to me lately. My entire life, from being I wouldn't when I was like crawling on the carpets and playing with tiny balls and learning my ABCs. Well, actually, at the start of like kindergarten, that's when it really started to kick in, because you get a taste of some problems. People all around me, people I know, people I don't know, they love to just dismiss problems, ignore them, or they love to. Having a problem is almost the same as committing a crime. You should feel guilty about it. And I've always found that deeply annoying, and I don't know, I digress, but basically what I'm trying to say here, and the message I'm trying to get across, is solve your problems, and if someone's talking to you about a problem and coming to you for advice or something like that, do me and them a favor, and yourself in the end, and just listen to them. Even if you, or at the, just say, I can't help you with that. Because it's better than going on and, guilt tripping a person, or another thing people like to do is passive aggressiveness. It doesn't help anything, and what is this, a reality check for the other person you're trying to get? Who are you trying to convince? Yourself or them? My God. Another thing I wanted to talk about was what was it? I personally find that as I said recently, I told you guys, I hate when people try to silence you for voicing your opinions or saying something that might fall out of lines or be a little abstract, or the words are not inherently dangerous. I mean, we are living in a generation, in a world filled with snowflakes, is all I can say to sum it up. I mean, we have people here, who have never heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I always figured that was just common. Everyone knew that. And here's the thing. I'm not saying, words inherently, it's like insults or like derogatory attacks. I'm not saying that it's not, you shouldn't address them, because you definitely should, and some of them do hurt. In fact, a lot of them do hurt. But in the context I'm speaking of here, which is like banning speech or trying to silence people, and the whole point of America was everybody has a right to say whatever they want, whenever they want, regardless of whether it fits the social norms or whether it fits in with what's considered the modern, at that time, present day PC culture. Everyone, not just you, deserves the right to opinion. Everyone has their own opinions, and that's fine. I may disagree with their opinions, but I'm not gonna throw a temper tantrum and try to arrest them. Like, you see what's going on over there in the UK, people getting arrested. That guy got arrested because he asked a lady who was speaking Spanish if she could speak English because he couldn't understand her. He got arrested. The UK is becoming I would almost say it's tyrannical. No, it is tyrannical, and it's sad, really, because You, and this is all across Europe. The Europe we think of when we want to go on vacations or visit historical locations, that doesn't exist anymore. The Europe from your textbooks vanished, and it's gradual, and we're watching the final stages here. But anyway, I just wanted to voice my opinions and say a few things on some problems that I personally feel passionate about, and I want you to keep in mind. America is not being run by who you think it is. They are, well, and it is, but in the background, trying to overthrow us is, you see, before humans existed, before God created man, there were lizard people. Now, that's a generic term for them, but they were basically this race of alien that existed and came from other universes and planets and existed on what first was like the rough draft of Earth before, God did his great stuff. And they had advanced technology. They were doing, we think we're advanced now. You should have seen what they were doing back there millions of years ago. They existed a long time. And God created man. And you can actually find some of the references to this in the Bible. God created man, right? And naturally, over time, lizard people kind of vanished. But a few survived. And they've been surviving all this time, a few of them. And the remnants of them are just, what they're doing is, they're in the shadows, in the deepest depths of the dark. They're lurking, hiding. They still are controlling things right now, but they're not even close to where they're planning on being. And they're the New World Order. And they are trying to overthrow our entire world. It's not just us as America. This is a battle for mankind. So don't believe everything you hear and never trust a lizard person. Thanks for listening.